your book. Tell us the latest updates on your book, and then we're going to talk about how you're going to become a podcaster.
Hmm.
Because based on kind of we got these conversations going, and you're like, you know what? I should do my own.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the book's going okay. It's not going gangbusters like I would hope, but I'm not doing the marketing the way I should. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Neil, which is perfect because I know you can help me with the marketing. But I thought, hey, what if I start telling some more stories just through a podcast format? Maybe I can sell some more books. And that's the reason why I was kind of going that direction. Uh, I did call it Voices of the Sea. I do have an introduction up on Apple Podcasts. I want to set up Spotify today. And then I also have it on YouTube podcasts. So I'm just getting in, just starting it off, trying to see if I can ramp it up. And my intention is to sit down with fellow sailors, discuss the various sea stories they have, what adventures they had out at sea in various ports, what issues did they come across, what kind of fun did they have? And that's really what I want to do because I have a lot of different groups within the Navy that I've worked with from all the different ships, different work groups within the Navy, and they all have their little uh, group chats that we all communicate in, and they all have stories. So how about if I just take those stories, I just ask questions, and we can share in those stories, and that's how I want to, create that podcast. And I have it started. It is on Apple. It will be on Spotify later on today, but yeah, it's getting there.
So is it like war stories, things, and experiences you had when you're in the Navy?
Mhm. Yeah, minus the war. Well, just the
Not war
stories.
stories, but I mean
Yeah,
stories.
yeah,
The
exactly.
back
Because
stories, the back
yeah,
stories.
exactly. And because yeah, and I do love the stories from the other podcasts where they talk to a lot of people that were, in combat. But with the Navy, we might be offshore. It's not really direct combat. We might be able to launch a tomahawk from, hundreds of miles away, but we're not really in the middle of everything. But the fun part is when you're in port. And of course, there's different ports out there that are a little more exciting than others. Uh, but like Hong Kong's a great place where it's just a big city on an island. And then across the harbor, you have another very large city, Kowloon, and they have a lot of good bars and restaurants and small alleyways. And you can kind of get lost in there and have fun where you're hitting bars. It's not one of the crazy ports that might be like in Thailand, where it's a beach environment and a lot more bars, and women are trying to pull you into the bar so you can buy drinks. Um, it's they're different places, and even in Japan, Japan is a lot more of a simpler port to go into, where I remember people would always like other ships would come in and they would treat that port like a port like in the Philippines or Thailand. It wasn't that way. It was a very, um, I'd say, civilized country where it's very safe, it's very clean. You have to be very respectful. So it's not the type of port that's a little more crime ridden. Japan's not that way at all. It's a great place. So I think the expectations that some people have when they go on to Japan, they're not there. So there could be problems where if a sailor might be thinking that could be something that they're expecting, it wouldn't occur.
So give me an example. You talked about stories on the sea where you talk to your other fellowship mates
Hmm.
on the sea about sea stories.
Hmm.
What kind of sea story you would like to tell today?
Sure. So, yeah, today, and there's quite a few because I mean, the fun parts, people ask about like Japan, like I was talking about, and how I saw the sunrise from the top of
Yeah.
Mount Fuji. That could be considered a sea story because I'm in port, I'm stationed in Japan. But then thinking about just, I'm part of the VFW here in Parker, and we do look at you have to be a part of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. You have to be either have a campaign medal or an expeditionary medal. You have to have something to say that you were in a combat area. So for me, I actually have two. I have one because the first time I went to the Persian Gulf, I was 19, and we sailed through the Straits of Hormuz, but we called it the silkworm envelope because the Iranians, they have silkworm anti-ship missiles lined up along the coast, and you're kind of slipping through. And of course, aircraft carriers are really susceptible because they're a lot larger, and they just lock down all the decks below the water line just in case they get hit, and they can control any of the flooding. But luckily, no ships have been hit in many years like that way. They've been run up on by fast boats. But yeah, that's the first time I went there. I was on the USS Towers. We went through the Silkworm envelope. And then the next time I went in, it was on the Hewitt. And that time, we kind of just played around there, but they sent us over the Red Sea. But there I had the campaign medal for Desert Storm. So I kind of double qualify for the VFW.
Okay. Wow, that's very interesting that you need to be able to
Mhm.
have that to get that award. There's
Mhm.
specific things for
Mhm.
qualification.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you could have served during that time, but if you didn't go into the combat zone, you didn't get that medal. And if you didn't get the medal, then you're not qualified for the VFW.
Were you ever fearful when you're in combat zone?
Yeah, you do have to be aware of it, and especially with my job as electronic warfare tech, I had to be very aware of just what's going on around us. Are we being acquired by any radars? What radars are in the area on what ships and aircraft? So you have to keep an eye out for those. I think there was an anniversary just recently for the USS Stark. The Stark got hit. Um, I think it was 1987, and I do have it in the book. But it was hit by two Exocet missiles by the Iraqis. Because, like I said, when I went there in '89, we were more concerned about the Iranians, even though the Iraqis attacked the Stark several years earlier, 2 years earlier. We still had to be aware of the Iraqis and the Iranians. But the second time we went in, it was because of Desert Storm, and that was specifically for the Iraqis. But that's part of my job is just to know what's in the area. If you see a particular aircraft and you see their radar signature pop up, then you have to know what armament they could have on their aircraft that could attack our ship. So once you see that particular uh, radar signature, then you have to take counteractions against that radar or that missile.
Wow. I thank you for your service, and it would really nerve things have happened, right? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And like I said, I was 19, and the second time I was 21 when we went into the Red Sea, and that was a little different atmosphere over in the Red Sea. But at that time, I had to train a younger sailor just because I had experience at 21, which was odd. But yeah, I was able to train him up to where he needed to be. And I worked from 7 at night, 7 in the morning, and during the day, I just kind of laid out on the deck and watched our my shipmates board other ships for interdiction ops because we were just making sure that no weapons were making its way into Iraq through Aqaba, Jordan. So they would sail up into Aqaba, maybe offload some weapons, and then go up into Iraq. We were just making sure that there's nothing on board those ships.
You talked about your naval buddies. How important is
Mhm.
camaraderie when
Mhm.
you're in the military?
Oh, it's very important because you are in those stressful situations. You're away from home. You just can't pick up the phone and call your spouse or your parents or your brothers and sisters. You had to rely on your fellow shipmates because they were in the exact same situation as you were. And of course, even in a combat scenario, if you were, let's say, the ship got hit, then you really have to rely on them because you're working together to make sure that you um, conduct damage control to save the ship. So it really helps out. And especially when you get into port, that's when you can have some beers and really kind of unwind. But again, even at that time period, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, so we couldn't get away. We had to kind of wait for mail call to come in, and maybe you get some package in or some letters in from home. But besides that, you really didn't make phone calls because they were a little too expensive. So you just hung out with your shipmates and um, you had quite a few beers and then try to pass out somewhere.
So how did you keep in touch with people after you got out of the military?
Mhm. Yeah, the first couple of years, it was pretty difficult just because when we were it's still, like I said, it was difficult because social media wasn't there. Email was just starting when I got out of the military, but you still kept your address book of shipmates, and now it's easy because you have Facebook groups with your various ships, and they can even get down to specific years, saying I was on this ship from this year to this year, and there's your group of friends, and even just base group messaging groups and of real close friends. So it's pretty good because we still like to talk and tell those stories and just remember kind of the good times that we had.
All right, best place people can go, your website, and also
Mhm.
they can purchase the book on Amazon.
Absolutely purchase Deception Underway at Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. We're also, I have autographed books available through UnderwayBooks.com. And so once you go through that, I'll sign it and mail it to you. And then I do have that podcast. It's just in the intro stage right now, and it is just Voices of the Sea. And the reason why I came up with Voices of the Sea is because one of the ships I was on, the USS Mount Whitney, their motto was Vox Maris. And Vox Maris in Latin is Voices of the Sea because they were a communication ship.